Hey everyone, in today's lab we're going to go over the appendicular skeleton. And the first part of the appendicular skeleton that I'm going to cover is the pectoral girdle. And so the pectoral girdle consists of two bones. This, which you see pictured here, is the scapula. And then this bone here, which you see here, is the clavicle. So together these two bones make up the pectoral girdle. And so they sit like this, and they help in holding the I have this backwards, sorry. They sit like this, and they help in holding the humerus to the torso. So that's this girdle here, okay? So this bone here is the scapula. I'm going to write that down. So that's the name of the bone. There are multiple structures on this bone that you have to know. So the first structure I have listed up here, you can see them listed here, is the glenoid cavity. So right here is the glenoid cavity. So if you're looking and you're trying to figure out where it is on here, I would draw an arrow about right there to the glenoid cavity. Okay, so this smooth part is the glenoid cavity. The glenoid cavity is where the humerus actually articulates with the pectoral girdle. Okay, so it's like this. So what's interesting is you can see, I'm trying to make sure, you can see right here how smooth and how shallow this cavity is. So there's actually cartilage that builds up here that helps to deepen that cavity, so that it's held a little bit tighter. This is one of the loosest joints of the entire body, which also is one of the reasons why shoulder displacement or shoulder displacement, so having your humerus come out of socket, is more common than other joint displacements. So then we have, I'm going to skip over here so you can see this, the spine. This structure right here is the spine of the scapula, okay? And right there, so right there is the spine. Spine ends in a process, so right here, that process is known as the acromion, and you can see that name right there. So the acromion process is on the end of the spine. So we have the spine and then the acromion. On this other side, right here, we have the coracoid process. So that sits right here. And then we have these shallow impressions. Remember, fossa are where we have impressions. A lot of times bones will articulate within a fossa. Also, sometimes muscles sit within a fossa. And so on the scapula, we have three muscles that sit within the fossa. And those three muscles, along with one other muscle, make up your rotator cuff. So this again is the spine. Above the spine, so if we go from here and go above it, we have the supraspinous fossa. So if I'm looking here, right there is your supraspinous fossa, okay? So it's right here, all right? If I go below the spine, then here's that spine, I go right below it. This is the infraspinous fossa. And then if I flip the scapula over, right here is the subscapular fossa. So there are 3 muscles here that I will write down. In the supraspinous fossa, we have a muscle called the supraspinatus. In the infraspinous fossa, we have a muscle called the infraspinatus. And in the subscapular fossa, we have a muscle called the subscapularis. And then we have one other muscle, not named for these fossa, named teres minor. And these 4 muscles together make up the rotator cuff muscles. So sometimes I have you learn regions on the bones that will help you in identification of structures in the future. So right now you're learning these bone parts, and that's going to help you when we get to the next part, the next chapters, which is the muscles. Okay. Trying to make sure that this is sitting so that you can see my face well. Okay. So now let's go to the next slide, or the next page, I should say. So this bone, and let me find it, here it is the clavicle. Okay, so that's all I really care on the clavicle. You have a scapular end, and then you have the sternal end. The sternal end is the flat end of the clavicle. The scapular end is the smooth end of the clavicle. So sternal would be on this side. This is the clavicular, or the scapular end, okay? But this bone is clavicle. Very small bone. It's also, it sits right, trying to make sure you can see, right here, okay? And it helps in holding that humeral head into, I should say muscles on it, help in holding the humeral head into the glenoid cavity or glenoid fossa of the scapula. So they make up that pectoral girdle. And so now we're looking at the pelvic girdle. So I'm going to just hold up this whole structure here. This is a pelvis. The pelvic girdle is a total of 3 bones that have fused together. And so you can see them here in one side. So I'm going to really quick grab one of those. I did not grab one of those. Bam. So this is one side of the pelvis, okay? So this bone altogether is known as a coxal bone, and it fuses to the sacrum. So I shouldn't say fuses, I should say articulates with the sacrum. The 2 coxal bones then articulate together at a joint right here called the pubic symphysis. So this structure right there is the pubic symphysis, okay? So let's start labeling the coxal bone. And quickly, I will let you know, the coxal bone is a bone that functions me do this. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Bam. I'm so good. All right. The coxal bone is a bone, or the coxal bones together function as our pelvic girdle. So we talked about the pectoral girdle holding our humeral heads in. The pelvic girdle holds the femur, the largest bone of the body, into the torso. And so it articulates just like this. Do you see that? So you can see that large cavity here. The femur head goes in and it articulates. So we're going to label these bone regions, and I'll talk a little bit about the different structures. Whoa, that was scary. Sorry. Only because I have coffee back here, because my coffee is sitting here and I don't want it to spill, but I want my tablet to sit up like this, so I'm holding it really. All right, so right here, this bone here, and if I show you on here, it's this top bone right up here, this top bone that I'm touching. That is called the ilium, and you can see the name here. So the ilium is the largest of the three coxal bones that have fused together. The next region right down here is the ischium. And then the last region right there is the pubis. And so you can see those same structures on this one. Again, ilium, ischium, pubis, okay? So they fuse together and they form a coxal bone. So there are structures within the coxal bone that we always want to talk about. The first is this large notch. This is the greater sciatic notch. And then right here is a smaller notch. That's the lesser sciatic notch. So these are where sciatic nerve is going to be found, which is why I like you to learn about them. For those who don't know, the sciatic nerve is a very long nerve that runs from the sacral plexus and innervates the leg. And if it gets compressed, it can cause serious pain known as sciatica, but which is debilitating in and of itself, but it can also cause you to actually lose the ability to walk. So it can make your legs crumple down and you fall. And that can be very scary, very dangerous, especially in individuals who are pregnant. And you see sciatica in individuals if they gain weight. This is often an issue. And so in pregnancy, it can become an issue. There is a large hole. So this is a large foramen. This is known as the obturator foramen. O-R. And you can see that right here, the obturator foramen. The obturator foramen is an area for blood vessels and nerves to pass through. And then this large cavity here, where the femur articulates, is called the acetabellum. And you can see that name right there, acetabellum. A-C-E-T-A-B-E-L-U-M, acetabellum, okay? There's an E here, just so you know. it's right there, but you can't see it because of the way I have it on the picture. So the acetabellum is where the femur actually articulates. And so you can see a lot of these structures on here. The only thing I didn't mention is the pubic symphysis, which I think you'll see in this one. So here you see where the pubic bone here and the pubic bone on this coxal bone articulate together in this joint known as the pubic symphysis. This is a cartilaginous symphysis. Pubic symphysis is composed of fibrocartilage. And it has T-I-L, I'm sorry, that's an L. Fibrocartilage joints tend to be slightly movable. So this is a partially movable joint. And the term partially movable means it's an amphiarthrosis. A-M-P-H-I-A-R-T-H-R-O-S-I-S. Amphiarthrosis. Okay. The next part are some questions that you're going to answer. And one of those questions is how we tell between male and female pelvises. So this, I want you to use your textbook to look at both types of pelvis. So here we have one male and one female. I'm not going to give you how you tell them apart, but I want you to identify at least 3 differences between a male and female pelvis. I would like you also to tell me which is male and which is female of this one and this one. So the next question after that is structurally and functionally. How do we identify the pubic symphysis? Structurally means what is it composed of? And functionally means how does it move or how does it work? And then which of the 2 girdles, pectoral or pelvic, is stronger and how can you tell? So that is your pelvic and pectoral girdles. I'm going to stop this video and then we'll get into the arm appendages in the next video. Bye.